Welcome back to Erin's Tea. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about Tea 101. What do you need to get started with brewing a cup of tea? This might be a little bit basic for some of you who are experienced tea drinkers, but we're going to start from the beginning because of a conversation I had a couple weeks ago with a girlfriend of mine. We were talking about what to get her mother-in-law for Christmas, and she said that they liked tea, and she didn't really know much about getting started with even getting a gift for someone who likes tea. So not knowing anything about these people or her level of knowledge with tea, we talked about maybe getting some loose teas that are premium loose teas that might be flavored that they might not have, maybe a gift box set of those. And then we talked about teapots, and we looked online for some really nice teapots, and there were some really fancy ones that had glass or bamboo, and she asked the question, so does that go right on the stove? And I laughed, and I thought this was a little bit funny because I know that they don't, but she had no idea. She doesn't really drink tea, and it's a legitimate question. Where do you get started if you're buying a gift from someone, or if you've never even tried tea, you might not know. So we're going to talk a little bit about the basic things that you're going to need to get started. I'm not going to go into too much detail about diffusers, loose tea, bag tea. We're just going to start with the basics for now. So the first thing you need is a kettle. This is my lovely KitchenAid kettle. My mom got this for me for Christmas one year. I love it. You don't need a KitchenAid kettle. You can get a cheaper kettle. If you are going out and buying a kettle, I do suggest getting a metal one, because the plastic ones, they just don't, it's like heating up your food in the microwave versus using the stove. It just doesn't taste the same with the water. So definitely go get yourself a metal kettle. The next thing that you're going to need is a teapot. And I say that you need a teapot because a lot of teas today are designed to be steeped in a teapot. You can use a cup. If you're going to be steeping a tea bag in a cup, I'd recommend using a larger cup, because a lot of the tea bags will be too strong if you are using a nice little dainty teacup. So you'll need a cup. If you are using tea bags, you can put the tea bags directly into it. Each box of tea will tell you how much to use for the amount of water you're using. So make sure you're reading the directions. And then, if you're using loose tea, if you're going to venture out into something like that, you're going to need a diffuser. And so this diffuser actually sits in this nice little teapot. This is actually my favorite one, just because it's really practical. And you put the nice loose tea in there, and then you screw this on, and you plop it inside, and then screw that on. So this is like tight, so if I went like this, it's not going to spill. This is good for me because I'm usually carrying it like this, carrying something else, or carrying my baby or something like that. So I'm not worried about it spilling, and if it drops, it's still okay. When you're done with the steeping of the tea, you just take this out and take the diffuser out and put the lid back on. So that's a little bit more advanced. If you're using loose tea, that's something that you might want to look into. If you aren't using loose, if you're using loose tea and you don't have something like that, a lot of people have been sold those metal tea balls, and that's okay. That's going to be something like this teapot doesn't have something built into it, so that's something you can put into here. There's a lot of talk about banning the tea ball, only because when you're using the right amount of tea for the water that you're steeping your tea in, when you're using loose tea, and I'll show you tea like this. Okay, when it gets wet, it expands, and so if you're using the appropriate amount of tea for the water you're using, and it's in a tea ball, it's not really tight and compact, and so when tea gets wet, it expands. So you're going to want to have more room, like a larger diffuser, or even one of those. They actually sell paper tea bags for loose tea that you can buy from the Bulk Barn for $100, for $4 for 100 of them, and you can definitely use that versus using the tea ball. If you're worried about using a paper tea bag because it might absorb some of the essential oils and take away from some of the taste from your tea, they do sell mesh tea bags. These are kind of the more premium types of tea bags that you can actually use in your tea. If you wanted to get really advanced, you can actually get a timer for your tea with a thermometer on it. Every tea has a certain temperature that it tastes best at. We will go into that much more deeply into it in a different post, but this is definitely something you can get. It's relatively inexpensive. I think this one from David's Tea was $12. So this is Tea 101. If you have any questions or you'd like me to address any other tea-related questions, please feel free to email me at erinstea@gmail.com. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching.